Welcome to the SCP Foundation. Our mission is to keep the public safe from anomalous items, entities, and occurrences. In order to accomplish this, we have enacted a series of special containment procedures unique to each anomaly. While you may be familiar with many of our SCPs, I can assure you that what you know is only the tip of the iceberg. Please enjoy your time in our archives and remember the three most important words: secure, contain, protect.
Hey there, hi there everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the first episode of Lesser Known SCPs, where much like my Lost Media videos, we're going to take a look at entries from the SCP Foundation that you don't see mentioned a lot on other YouTubers' channels. Now, while most of you watching this video probably already know what an SCP is, for those of you who don't, the SCP is a massive fiction project about an organization that secures, contains, and protects from the public all sorts of anomalous entities. This can be items that have strange, unexplained powers, monsters, and even just weird temporal vortexes and everything in between. And while YouTube is absolutely filled with compilations of SCP lists, you tend to see the same entries time and time again. Everybody likes to do the Plague Doctor, the Old Man, the Shy Guy. And while these are all great, I mean, enough's enough. There's thousands of SCPs in the SCP Foundation wiki, and some of them, even while I've been looking through for this first video, I'd never heard of. So in keeping with formula, because you all seem to like my Lost Media videos so much, each time we're going to do 4 safe for work SCP entries, so nothing too graphic, violent, or disgusting, and then we're going to end with one that is less safe for work. And please note that, much like the Lost Media videos, there's really no rhyme or reason to which entries I put in which video. These are all just SCPs that I find interesting and want to share with you, so that maybe you'll go and read the full article. And without further ado, let's get to it. At number 1, we have SCP-563, also known as an abandoned farm in China. Object class: Euclid. And what makes this farm of any interest to the SCP Foundation is that prior to them discovering the farm, it was apparently being used to raise and farm dinosaurs to sell as food products by the Ancient Dragon Culinary Corporation. Prior to its discovery by the Foundation, the company that owned this farm had killed the remaining livestock and abandoned the farm because the dinosaurs on site had been found to have a prion that is very similar to how mad cow disease works. Though records show that there are as many as 21 other dinosaur farms somewhere in the world owned by this corporation. It is stated that the Foundation is working with various Asian governments to try and locate and shut down these farms. This one, I just think is fun. I just think it's fun that someone who wrote this one had the idea that if a failing food company discovered dinosaurs there in the jungle, their first thought would be, we need to turn this into frozen food and instant noodle products. I just realized I didn't explain earlier what the object classes are. The 3 main ones are Safe, Euclid, and Keter. Safe does not classify that an object cannot do any harm, more so that as long as its containment procedures are followed, the object will not do any undue harm outside of testing. Euclid is used for ones that have a little bit more difficulty containing. They might not be necessarily as dangerous as Keter class, but the containment procedures do not always work. They can fail, and it can be disastrous. Euclid is also used for ones where the full extent of the danger is not entirely known. And then finally, Keter class objects are highly dangerous, very hard to keep contained, and if they get out, it could potentially be an end of the world scenario. I just wanted to clarify that before we went into our next entry. At number 2, we have SCP number 427, known as the Lovecraftian Locket. Object class is listed as safe with an asterisk saying to see the containment procedures. SCP-427 is a small, spherical, ornately carved locket made of polished silver metal. This SCP was created when a Panacea pill was put into the Clockworks SCP and refined, and out came this locket. It displays no unusual activity when closed, but when opened, a small glowing orb is visible at the center. The orb emits no radiation or energy aside from the visible spectrum. Now, much like the panacea that cures any disease if someone takes one of the pills, when SCP-427 is opened and exposed to biological tissue, it will rapidly regenerate cellular damage and also be able to purge invading compounds or infections. To put it into perspective, the common cold takes 3 to 10 days to work itself through the human immune system before being removed. In presence of an opened SCP-427, this is reduced to 2 to 4 minutes. The problem is that long-term exposure produces significant health hazards. After 15 minutes of exposure, the body begins to mutate, and eventually they become gigantic, monstrous, super strong flesh beasts, so named due to their appearance. And this is where the addendum to the containment procedures comes in. All personnel using SCP-427 must record their total time using it in order to avoid unwanted mutations. And any flesh beast, known as an instance of SCP-427-1, created by SCP-427, must be killed immediately, as it is impossible to communicate with or experiment on them safely. For this reason, instances of SCP-427-1 are classified as Keter. I don't know, I kind of like this one because it gives me very much like an H.P. Lovecraft, but also kind of like an X-Men vibe to it, but as opposed to getting like cool adamantium claws or optic laser blasts from your eyes, you just become a Lovecraftian monstrosity. At number 3, we have SCP number 439, also known as Bone Hive. Object class is Euclid. SCP-439 is an insect of unknown origin that somewhat resembles a grayish, semi-translucent earwig-like creature. This was originally found and obtained in mainland China, and as of yet no other specimens have been found in the wild. Now, this bug is relatively harmless when encountered in safe terms. It's just kind of like a normal earwig. It can give you a little pinch with its forceps, but other than that, not too bad. Now, here's where the horror comes in, because this is a scary one, and if you are afraid of bugs crawling on or in you, you're going to want to skip this one. The problem comes when this creature enters the mouth of a sleeping human. It will only do this with humans, as it has no interest in other creatures. It will then travel down the trachea and take up residence in one of the victim's lungs. In about 4 to 8 hours after waking up, the host will complain of chest pains and shortness of breath, followed by abdominal cramping. The tightness in the chest will increase, as well as a fever, until the host is incapacitated. It is around this time that the onset of fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, FOP, occurs, which is apparently a disorder that is normally genetic in nature that promotes growth of bone into muscle tissue. Since this onset is so rapid, it is actually very painful for the victim, and occasionally these new bone spurs will start poking through their flesh. While this is all happening, the host will become compelled to seek shelter in a darkened, enclosed space, such as a household cabinetry, closets, or heating ductwork. So basically, over the course of 3 days, this person will be turned into a bone hive. Their body will shift into almost a spherical nature and kind of reduce to 3/4 of its original size. And while this has been happening, the original queen that entered the host will have produced 20 to 30,000 offspring that function as workers, drones, and warriors in a typical insect hive hierarchy. Since only the queen is capable of reproduction, the rest of the hive's inhabitants are, fortunately, harmless, save for the large, strong, formidable forceps of the warriors. And while all this is going on, they are literally eating this person from the inside out. And by the way, they are conscious of this the entire time. After 4 to 6 months of this absolute body horror, a new queen will emerge from within the ranks and choose a drone to mate with. At this point, the colony will destroy itself, and basically everyone but the queen will die, who will then venture out fertilized to search for her own new hive. And the last bit of terror in all of this is, even though the colony destroys itself by what is known as rupturing, which isn't explained. It's not the trauma of the evacuation that finally causes the person who has become the hive to die, but rather they then eventually just die of starvation. This one, I don't see too many people cover it, but it's one of the first SCPs I came upon, and it just showed me just how terrifying some of these entries can be. This one's a nightmare. Number 4 is actually one that makes me laugh, and is actually something I would love to give to some neckbeard playing Dungeons and Dragons with me. It definitely reminds me a lot of the neckbeard stories I've told. If you're new to the channel, I also do neckbeard stories, but this one is SCP number 572, also known as the Katana of Apparent Invincibility. This object also has the class of Euclid. SCP number 572 is a manufactured katana that is badly balanced for combat use, made of substandard steel, and does not hold an effective combat edge. So this essentially Mall samurai sword has an unusual psychotropic quality of convincing any person who holds it of its balance and cutting power, as well as conferring feelings of great strength and invincibility. This effect cannot be countered by any known means, and the affected subject will continue to maintain these beliefs as long as they hold the blade. This will compel the subject to perform dangerous stunts using SCP-572, including but not limited to attempting to cut a moving car in half, slicing through a bullet fired from a rifle, cutting through another sword, and engaging in a live steel duel with a trained period swordsman. Because of the prevalence of unnecessary cutting edges, 75% of such attempts end with serious injury being inflicted upon the user. Now, when the sword is successfully taken from the user, it is said to be preferably be using long-handled tongs to prevent the retriever from being affected. All psychological effects can usually be expunged by a single swift blow to the back of the subject's head. And what also makes me laugh is there is an addendum that they talk about how they retrieved this item. SCP was retrieved from the home of a redacted. Upon being apprehended for violent, drunken, and disorderly behavior, Mr. Redacted attempted to charge the arresting officers while brandishing SCP-572, screaming that he would take their heads and with it their power. As Mr. Redacted was overweight and badly out of shape, officers successfully pacified him using tasers and flexible baton beanbag rounds fired from a 12-gauge shotgun. Upon retrieving the weapon, Officer Redacted was heard muttering about the effectiveness of SCP-572, claiming that if Mr. Redacted had managed to score a hit, one of the officers would have lost a limb. This despite the fact that the weapon had an edge blunter than a butter knife. So essentially, this anomalous item turns anybody into a neckbeard mall ninja. It doesn't make you good with a sword, and it doesn't give you talent with the blade, but it just makes you think you have it. I really do hope you're enjoying this video, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Mr. Sean, and I own Chimera Miniatures, which is not just a YouTube channel, but also my custom miniatures business. I specialize mainly in two kinds of miniatures. One is custom miniatures made from bits and pieces of other miniatures into truly unique, one-of-a-kind items. The other thing I do is make not safe for work miniature repaints. So if either of those appeal to you, be sure to check out my links for my eBay, Etsy, and Mercari and see if there's anything on there you'd like. I also take commissions. And if you'd like to support the channel, but minis aren't really your thing, I do have a Patreon, link in the description. And without further ado, let's get to that final not safe for work SCP entry. And at number 5, we have SCP number 1004, also known as Factory Porn. Object class is safe. SCP-1004 is a computer program found either on a CD or 3.5 diskette, either of which will be hand-labeled with the words Factory Porn. Contained on these disks is a single executable file labeled thefactory.exe, a 1 kilobyte program. The program runs perfectly on all platforms. Running the program results in a window opening on the computer, within which the Factory logo is displayed. The logo fades to black and is replaced by the words, "What would you like to see?" At this point, you can type in anything you want, no matter how vague or specific. Once the request has been input, the program will pull up several dozen images of pornographic content, each of which leads to full video on the subject. Many of these videos appear to have never been made in real life. Whatever kind of porn you could want at the touch of a button, what could go wrong, right? Well, watching videos on SCP-1004 does have a cumulative effect. The more pornography a user views, the more disturbing their sexual desires become, and the harder sexual gratification becomes. After approximately 100 straight hours of viewing pornography on SCP-1004, even the most normal of viewers will display an interest in all kinds of messed up shit. Also, the deadening of reactivity to sexual gratification will encourage them to seek out all this messed up stuff with other people or to mutilate themselves and their genitalia. It should also be noted that SCP-1004 displays no compulsive properties. Users are free at any time to stop using the program. They just don't because, hey, as much porn as you could want and whatever you'd want. Now, as previously stated, any word or combination of words may be entered. This has been used by many victims to view popular members of high school social standing in the bedroom, giving rise to many rumors of celebrity sex tapes. Now, if you're familiar at all with SCP Foundation, you'll know that the Foundation is not always what you would consider the good guys, and in this case that becomes apparent because they have posited that they could use these videos to, blackmail politicians who are antithetical to the Foundation cause, but unfortunately for them and fortunately for us, I guess, all attempts to make recordings of the SCP-1004 content has only resulted in static. Apparently, you can't tape it. Now, it is unknown where these disks come from, but they appear to be spread through the use of electronic messages, sent seemingly at random. The messages generally claim to have certain celebrities performing sex acts or to have certain depraved acts on tape that are illegal in many jurisdictions. A link included in the message requests users to enter their home address, resulting in a copy of SCP-1004 to show up in a plain brown wrapper within 3 days through bulk mail, with no return address. The article does state that the Foundation currently has 37 copies of the CD-ROM and 23 copies of the floppy disk. Now, the thing about this one, that's why I included it on this list, why I found it so interesting, is this isn't even an anomalous object anymore. We have this. We have deepfake programs that can put any face on any body, so you can put someone you know's face onto your favorite porno movie. We have AI generating art programs that let you let you create anything you can think of. This isn't an anomalous item. This is something we actually have. I don't know when this entry was originally written, but I remember knowing about this one at least 10 years ago, and it is this one just strikes me as interesting because somebody thought this up as oh my god, this is some anomalous object that does something that is unexplainable, and it's within 10 years' time, we have this technology. And honestly, that just makes me think about an even deeper rabbit hole dive, which is, what if we could go back in time with all of our tech, what people must think they would have thought we were freaking wizards. That, and whenever new technology is created, the first thing it's ever going to be mass used for is to create porn. And hey guys, that's the video. Be sure to let me know in the comments if you like this video, if you think I should make more of them. Since of course I mainly use this channel as a way to advertise my business while entertaining, I am constantly looking for new content to offer on the channel. Is this a hit, or should I go back to the drawing board? Be sure to like and subscribe, as well as check the links, maybe buy a mini or join the Patreon. But until next time guys, I'm Mr. Sean, this is Chimera Miniatures, and I hope you alpha great day and an even beta tomorrow. Bye-bye!